Hello everyone, and thanks for attending today's webinar. My name is Joe Medosch. I'm an independent Retrotec trainer, and I'm very excited to be presenting the new DM32 smart gauge today. As you know, Retrotec has always been a pioneer in innovation and at the forefront of blower door, duct tester, and manometer technology. The DM32 definitely follows their history of innovation. This is the most intuitive and smartest manometer of the history of the industry. By the end of this presentation, or once you've had a chance to touch one, I guarantee you'll agree with that statement. Just as the title says, this changes everything. The DM32 has so many revolutionary features. It's been built from the ground up with you, the user, in mind. I'll try not to repeat words like awesome or amazing or cool during the presentation, but this is one phenomenal gauge. This is the most easy to use manometer an auditor or a home performance professional can own. Retrotec designed the gauge so that right out of the box, a first-time user could just turn it on and start testing. The functions are exceptionally intuitive. You see the image of the gauge. Almost everything is able to be touched on the screen and changed. The home screen has a visual display of the settings and the range, making it easy to see what your setup is. Some of the features that are not visible in the DM32 include new digital pressure sensors versus the previous analog. These are much more accurate and much more stable. This means that the DM32 gauge only needs to be calibrated every 5 years. That's right, the DM32 only needs to be calibrated every 5 years. That's a major improvement over the current 2 years for the DM2 or most other manometers on the market today. One of the smartest features is the DM32 can be updated through your PC online. This is similar to how your smartphone might work, in that it needs occasional updates. The DM32 does the same. No need to send it in for an update. The touchscreen is a large 3.2-inch display and has been designed to clearly provide instant access to the settings and test results from the home screen. This is the home screen that displayed when the gauge is first turned on. You can see clearly at the lower section in red, set pressure, set speed, and settings. These features are all accessed by just tapping those areas. When I change the screen to demonstrate what it looks like during a test, channel A is now displaying 25.4 pascals. This area also activates the hold feature, which freezes the display so I can record the results, common in most gauges today. Just below is channel B and includes the test results, previously known as the mode feature. This is where you would tap to change the results. On the same row is the device and range. You tap this area to change the range or ring settings or to select a different device. Just above that is a great display of the at pressure feature. This is activated and deactivated just by tapping the at symbol. At the top row is time averaging and fan speed as a percentage and a green bar that fills that little area. Basically any area below fan speed or time averaging is interactive. Here's how easy it is to change your range or select a device. To change the range that's already on the fan, just tap the fan image. It will take you to the range screen for that fan. These are the range configurations for the DU200 duct tester. Just tap the range you want to use. I'll pick the mid-range, and it automatically goes back to the home screen. Simple. To select a different device or different fan, just tap on the same image. We're going to select Change Device in the lower left-hand corner. And it brings up all of the Retrotec fans. And I just pick the device or fan I want to use. I'll pick the 1000 in the upper right-hand corner. As soon as you select a fan, it brings up the ranges for that fan specifically. I'll pick the B range. And as soon as I do so, it automatically takes me back to the home screen, and I just change from the duct tester to the 1000 series blower door. And I have a visual confirmation of what fan and what system I'm using. The test results, again formerly known as the mode function, is in channel B, and here's how simple it is to change that. Just tap on channel B where the numbers are. Right now I have 1563.8 CFM. This brings up the results screen, which has obviously pressures in Pascal and CFM. And unique to Retrotec is that it will actually calculate some of the most commonly needed or used results right there in the gauge. So here I have flow area as CFM per 100 square feet, which is a common IECC requirement for doing duct testing. I could also toggle through that and press it again, and I could change that to CFM per square foot or change some of the units. That's a lot easier to demonstrate when I do the live demo. Another great feature is air changes per hour, automatically calculated right there in the gauge. There's a second screen. If I select the little circle in the bottom right corner, it'll actually take me to the next screen of more results, more options that I have to pick from. These are mostly EQLA and EFLA and different units, square feet, square inches, and different pascals. I select that same icon in the bottom and it toggles back through the screen again. Once I select the results I want to use, I'll select ACH. I select the arrow at the bottom. It takes me back to the home screen and applies the results. So I went from 1563 CFM to 5.28 air changes per hour, automatically calculated in the gauge. This presentation is trying to show you a sports car with a bunch of pictures. You need to see it in action to see how simple and intuitive the design is. Let me switch over to the live camera. Just give me 1 second. Okay, we got the live feed up. I want to show you some of the connections that are on the gauge. Here on the bottom I have the Ethernet, the larger port there, and that's how you connect to the PC, or I can connect it to a hub for remote control or for longer runs with an Ethernet cable. Next to it's a USB, also connect to the PC or to update your firmware, and obviously that's where you charge. At the top we got your colored tubes, and the center is where you make your connection to your fan. I want to kind of show you a quick scale. I do have a slide coming up that shows you how it is in relation to other gauges, but here's actually just a standard Galaxy S3 phone. This is not one of the super large phones. This is just today's standard and average phone. You can see the gauge is just a little larger. And the reality is that gauges are getting smaller and phones are getting larger. So you kind of get an idea where all the ports are and the scale, and you can kind of get a scale just based on my hand right there. I can operate the gauge and hold it ergonomically easily and control it with my thumb just as you kind of would a phone. So I want to turn it on, and you can see the splash screen, touch anywhere to continue. I want to zoom in so we get a good view of actually the screen itself. Up in the right corner you can see in yellow is actually the battery. It's about 50%. I'm going to plug in the USB so we actually can make sure we have plenty of battery while we do this demo. And it'll kind of flash to green and then suddenly become blue, demonstrating that we're charging. Alright, and all Retrotec gauges, they keep the last setting. So my last setting was actually, I ran a blower door on channel B and had CFM as the settings. I think the best thing to do is just run a test. Let's just see what this thing does. If you're not familiar with Retrotec gauges, they actually don't have a knob or a rheostat that kind of heats up. They actually do a full digital control over the pressure. So to operate their fans, we're going to do hit set pressure. For a blower door, it's 50 pascals. I could hit any pressure, but 50 for the blower door. And now we're up and running. You can see my results are CFM on B channel. And at the bottom, it's going to show me that I'm actually seeking 50 pascals to show me what my test pressure was. I can clearly see what fan and range I've got. In the middle there, I can actually jog up or down plus or minus 5 pascals or stop the fan if I wanted to. That's pretty obvious, all right? And I did mention earlier that's a nice, great display of the at function, which can be just really toggled on or off. So once it's toggled on, you'll see in the B channel that it's saying CFM at 50 pascals. So now I'm actually calculating whatever the results were at 50 pascals. Especially if I couldn't reach 50, that's a great function to actually have, that I can determine what that was. And I can just toggle again and turn it off. Now it just reads the real test pressure at CFM, cubic feet per minute. At the top you can see that I have a fan speed running around 5.5% and the time average. Very straightforward. If I wanted to, I can actually change the range. let's just say I pop on the C8, which is a magnetic next range down, pop that on, and now I'm actually reading the results with C8 range. I also have the option to change the results live during the test, so I can go to the results display. I'm doing a blower door, so air changes per hour at 50 pascals would be a pretty obvious choice for me. So I pick that and I go back, and right now I have 2.26 air changes per hour, 50 pascals, automatically calculated, running live right there in the gauge. What a brilliant feature. If I wanted to freeze the display, I can actually activate the hold feature by pressing in channel A. You can see hold is being flashed. All right, now I can actually write the results down. I can also change the results live, so I can go back and actually activate CFM and go back, and I can write those results down. And to deactivate, I can press there, or I could jog up or down plus or minus 5 pascals. So I just press back in channel A, it's now released, and now the actual gauge is reading live from the fan. All right, if you stop the test, and that's a basic overview. It's incredibly intuitive and very simple, straightforward. I do want to go through some of the settings so you kind of get an idea of what's underneath the hood. Obviously there's baseline, it reads none taken. And we have area and volume. Those are actually both based upon some of the criteria or the results that are calculated, like air changes per hour needs a volume. So right now air changes per hour is based upon 22,000 cubic feet, or CFM area and flow, CFM per 100 square feet also requires an area. Down below I can do time average. I could change time average. Instead for 5 seconds, I just select 10 and it's ready to go. The results right now is CFM. We've seen this same screen back on the home screen, but I could change it right there. Right now we'll do a CFM. I could change it to air changes per hour, and now actually that's actually the results that are displayed in channel B. And now you can see where the two are connected. So if I want to change the volume, let's say the house is a little smaller, maybe it's 18,000 cubic feet. I'm just going to enter that number now and hit set. And now next time I run a test and I use the results air changes per hour, it'd be based upon 18,000 cubic feet. Baseline is something everybody wants to make sure how that works, and this is a nice feature also. I can either clear, there's nothing there to clear, or I can capture. So I select capture, and we kind of watch the clock run. Depends on how windy a day it is, or how much the baseline is fluctuating, as I can see in the upper part of the screen there. Then I can determine how long I'd want to do that. So right now it's running about 0.3 pascals. I can hit in capture, and I'm going to show you where this shows up in the gauge. It's a nice place, nice location to keep track of what's actually happening all the time on the home screen. So we go back to settings, we go back to the main screen. Right up there, channel A, pascals with 0.3 baseline subtracted from channel A. So you can tell exactly that you have a baseline and that actually it's included in your results. And if I wanted to redo it or just eliminate it, if I'm doing a duct test, I really don't need a baseline for the most part. So go back and hit settings, go to baseline, and hit clear. That's it. And now you actually can see on the main screen where I have the results of air changes per hour. And when the test isn't running, you have a location where you actually can change the volume itself. So right there is the volume of 18,000 cubic feet. Obviously I could press that and change the volume if I needed to. Let me change a couple of the connections real quick. I want to run a duct test or show you how easy it is to change devices and ranges real quick. Alright, so clearly I'm not going to use the blower door or even air changes per hour. So let's change the device. First comes up are the ranges for the 1000, but I'm going to hit in the bottom corner, I'll hit change device. These are all of the Retrotec devices. We were just using the 1000. There's some of the other blower door fans that you could pick from. There's the duct tester up top, but I want to show you the next screen, which actually has some more devices. So here I have the tech devices, or the energy conservatory devices, which include the duct blaster and their blower door version 3 and the 230 volt version and version 4. And we also have the exhaust fan flow meter and actually the true flow air handler flow meter are also devices you can use on this gauge. If I go to the next screen, there's a simple application that actually allows me to determine the flow when you provide a certain opening size. It's a nice little feature. If I toggle through, I'm back to the Retrotec fans. And Retrotec right now is developing a device that will actually allow the Retrotec gauge to not just read, but totally control all of the tech devices. As I toggle back through, I want to pick the DU200 duct tester. That's the device we want to use. I'll pick the mid-range. Pretty straightforward. I now have a visual confirmation what fan I got, what range I'm running, and I definitely don't want to be using air changes per hour to run a duct test. So let's change the results. Alright, so I could just select CFM and be pretty straightforward, but I'm going to let the gauge do the work for me. I'm going to select CFM per 100 square feet. That's a common unit for duct testing, as well as it's a compliance for IECC code. So I've got that selected, and I go back to the home screen, and now I have CFM per 100 square feet. And notice where it had volume earlier, I now have an area, because it needs an area to calculate CFM per 100 square feet. So I'm going to pick on the area, and let's just say it's a little smaller house also, so it's 1,200 square feet, and set. All right, and notice at the top I actually have the time average set for 10 seconds. We were using 5 before, so it's as simple as going to that, selecting 5 seconds, and go back, and we've changed it. So just as we've done before, that's how you run a test. Is we're going to do set pressure. It's a duct tester, so we're going to do 25 pascals, 25 set, and now we're up and running. And soon my results will be up here after 5 seconds, and I can see that I have 3.7, 3.8, 4 CFM per 100 square feet. And I can obviously turn off the add feature, which now is reading the CFM per 100 square feet at 25 pascals. And if I needed to, I could turn it back off and just be running it regular. If I want to change the range, maybe I want to go to the open range. I clearly just select it, go back. Very intuitive, very simple, easy to read all the time. I know what I'm testing with, and I know what kind of device I've got. You know, this gauge is so user-friendly and intuitive that I probably could have just handed this gauge to anybody listening. You would have tapped some of the sections and figured out how to use and do almost everything that I tried to present today on your own without any assistance. It's really just that user-friendly and that intuitive. I got a few more slides I want to go to, so let's go back to the PowerPoint and finish off a few more highlights of the gauge. Well, that was kind of a basic test drive and simple overview of the gauge in a live version. Okay, is the PowerPoint back up on screen? Okay, all right, great. The new DM32 does everything the original DM2 does, and does it better. The DM32 inherited all the features and improved the display or the access or even both. Some of these features are exclusive to Retrotec, like being able to test at any pressure, including 75 pascals, which is a great feature. And the gauge keeps the last settings in memory, making setup quicker and simpler for those that do regular duct testing or blower doors. All these features, and yet it's in a much smaller package. It's very ergonomic, as you can see in the live demo that I just did. Compared with the DM2 gauge, it's a little wider than the keypad itself, and definitely much smaller. And compared to the DG700, it's a little narrower and definitely much shorter. Ethernet cables can now be used, offering unlimited distance of reliable control without the need for umbilical extensions or long hoses. This is a major upgrade and great benefit for those who do multifamily or large building testing. The high-capacity lithium-ion battery allows for about 10 hours of continuous use, so you can test all day on a single charge, and it comes with the standard USB charger that most mobile devices use now. It's good to know if you forgot to charge your gauge that you can charge it in your car or even operate it, which is a common USB charger. As I mentioned earlier, this is one of the smartest features of the DM32. It can be easily updated over the internet. As with many innovative technologies, has features that are continuously being in development or improving or changing, and this smart gauge is able to become smarter because you're able to connect it to the internet and upgrade it very easily. Of all the features, this is one of the coolest. Included with the DM32 is a package of analytical software. It's really developed exclusive for the DM32 to equip testers with the most comprehensive tools to collect, export, and evaluate their air leakage results. The virtual gauge, as you see in the picture here, is a remote control and monitor using a virtual simulator on your PC. It works both ways. I can control the gauge on the PC, or the PC displays the results on the gauge that are live. The virtual gauge is also an interactive real simulator and can be actually operated all by itself, and you can download it from the Retrotec website and test it out as a test drive to see if you really like the gauge. I guarantee it's something you'll be pretty excited about. If you're a trainer, this can be used as a standalone training device or as an awesome visual aid to display the results so the whole class can see what's on your device in your hand. It's a great feature. The software package also includes a data logger that records data at custom intervals and settings and are exportable in Excel spreadsheets. Great feature. And of course the DM32 is fully compatible with fantastic software to automatically control a test in accordance with many of the testing standards that are used today. Wi-Fi is one of the hot topics in the testing industry today. Soon to be available is the DM32 Wi-Fi version with automatic hotspot generation or direct connect. This allows for a wireless connection without the need of a router. With the DM32 Wi-Fi version, smartphones and tablets will be able to wirelessly control your gauge as well as read the settings that are on it. Currently in development are iOS and Android apps, which will become available from the Apple Store or the Google Play Store. I predict this would actually be revolutionizing the testing industry. Just as Apple or Google couldn't really imagine how the apps on their devices have changed everything, I think this technology will open the door to new innovations and market solutions that have yet to even be imagined. The DM32 is available right now and can be purchased by contacting the sales team at sales@retrotec.com. The DM32 Wi-Fi is coming soon to Retrotec or a reseller near you. Right now the DM32 is being sold with all of Retrotec's new blower door or duct testing systems. On behalf of everybody at Retrotec, I'd like to thank you for your time today. Please feel free to post your questions. Even if this is a rebroadcast, there's somebody from the engineering and sales team that would gladly assist you. Or you can contact us directly at sales@retrotec.com or just give us a call. 1-855-738-7683. Thanks again. Have a great day.